AEW and Tony Khan has a big problem with this. In this video, I'm going to tell you exactly what that problem is and how we can solve it, because I feel like I've come up with a pretty solid strategy. Now, I know the theme of the day among wrestling fans right now is a crap all over AEW. Now, I'm going to do some of that in this video, but I'm going to do it from a place of love, because I want AEW to succeed. As a content creator, as a writer, I want AEW to thrive. I want them to do big business. I want to get back to where we were in 2021, right? Where they were on fire and they were bringing a legitimate fight to WWE. But it's also no secret that AEW is going through a lot of issues right now. Their television ratings plummeted. Their attendance just down across the board. And overall interest, which impacts me in the way that I provide for my family, has been impacted because AEW is not as hot as it once was. Now, of course, any promotion cannot be on fire, as we're seeing WWE for a long period of time. Sure, you can go multiple years, but you can't go decades upon decades upon decades, right? You're eventually going to have a little bit of a cooling off period. And AEW, they're cold. They're very, very cold, and that sucks because there is a lot of talented individuals over there. Now, the good news is, at a time in which they have seen a downturn, they just secured a new media rights deal with Warner Bros. Discovery for Dynamite, Collision, their tape library, and the introduction, eventually, of pay-per-view events on Max, right? And simulcast on Max and everything like that. There's a lot of positives going for the promotion. There's also a lot of negatives. I've been very critical of Tony Khan. A lot of people have been very vocal about Tony Khan and his booking of AEW. A lot of people, including myself, believe that he is booking it simply as a fantasy type situation where he books matches he wants to see and just hopes that great matches can get them over the hump. And as we've seen, that's not necessarily the case. There's also another instance of having wrestlers have a lot of creative freedom, which I'm all for, but I also think there's, to a certain degree, that you can allow it. The Death Rider storyline is where we pick up in today's video, because the problem, or at least one of, is the Death Rider storyline, and I'll tell you why. Number one, Jon Moxley as the AEW World Heavyweight Champion is not necessarily the draw in which Tony Khan wants to believe, or a lot of Jon Moxley fans for that matter. Is he a star in the wrestling business? Yes. Is he a top-tier star? Yes. Is he a main eventer in WWE or in AEW? Yes. Is he a marquee name that is going to move a lot of numbers? Is he going to sell a lot of tickets? Is he going to move a lot of television ratings? Is he going to move a lot of social media engagement? No, he's not, right? But he's been positioned as that. And that comes as a very difficult situation, because he's also been given a ton of creative freedom with his Death Rider storyline, which simply is not working. We don't know, and there's even a meme going around of the announcers during World's End trying to explain the storyline, right? 1 minute, it's Jon Moxley wanting to destroy AEW. The next minute, it is him having a grip on AEW and trying to transform it into the way he sees fit, right? We don't know which. Is he pro AEW? Is he anti AEW? We don't know. The announcers don't know. And when you have such uncertainty with a storyline, it's difficult for fans, whether hardcore or casuals, to get into. It's much, much difficult if it's a storyline that does not make a lot of sense and it's your top tier storyline. It's the number one attraction, if you will, in the promotion. If it doesn't make sense, it's hard for people to follow along, and it's really hard for them to even care about, to the point where they tune in every single week and watch your weekly television, or they buy your monthly pay-per-view events, or they buy tickets when you come to town, right? And so they've done this storyline, and it doesn't make sense. And you also have a Jon Moxley who is following. Think about the list of names in which he's had to follow. He had to follow MJF. He's had to follow Bryan Danielson. He's had to follow Swerve Strickland. Like, all of these names, obviously not in order, but you get the gist, right? Like, there are notable names here. And so now, whenever AEW is in trouble, whether it was CM Punk getting in backstage issues, whether it's Punk getting injured, whether it's just a bailout for the promotion, they put the World Championship on Jon Moxley. Tony Khan trusts Jon Moxley extremely, extremely well. He thinks he knows him extremely well. He thinks he can trust him extremely well, right? Like, he is his safe haven. He is his safeguard. And that's great. That's fine. I have no problem with that. Is he an asset to AEW? 1,000%. Is he a star for AEW? Yes. Is he a main eventer? Yes. Is he a marquee name like a Bryan Danielson? No. Is he a marquee name like a Swerve Strickland? No. Is he a marquee name like an MJF? No. Right? So you have that. So you have a guy that's not necessarily the highest of the highest star power. And you also have a storyline that is your dominant storyline, is your top storyline that does not make a lot of sense and doesn't resonate with fans very much, right? Now, I've been very vocal of AEW and its booking, especially with Tony Khan, because I feel like he puts an emphasis on great matches. He puts a focal point on, okay, I'm going to build my product and I'm going to build my stars up by booking them in great matches. I'm going to take one star who can put on a great match that has no star power or has not a lot of star power, and I'm going to book them against the same person with the same caliber type of style and star power. And I'm going to put them together and then have a great match. I'm going to give them 20 minutes and go out there and have a banger, and it doesn't draw. It doesn't draw. But we're going to keep doing it. We're going to do it throughout. And then we're going to sprinkle in the stars that we do have. And, oh, by the way, all the stars that we do have under contract that actually does have a little bit of star power, we're going to use them just sparingly because they don't put as good of matches as these other guys. So you sprinkle in the Death Rider storyline. You sprinkle in Jon Moxley as your world champion. You sprinkle in this booking. And you also spread it, you put in a guy in Tony Khan who's doing legitimately 5 different jobs in different realms. And he's in charge of creative. And he's micromanaging everything. That's very difficult to sustain over a long period of time, and I think we've gotten to that point. So how do we fix this big problem? Well, I think it's very simple. I think you get rid of the storyline as quickly as possible, right? Like the most thing that makes the most sense, in my opinion, is eventually Darby Allin will dethrone Jon Moxley as AEW World Champion. I think that's where they're building. I think that's where they're going. I think most people would agree with that. I think you would get that over with really, really soon, right? But then as soon as Darby wins it, I wouldn't have Darby as a long-term champion. I would put the title back on MJF. He's one of your biggest stars with the biggest star power who actually moves numbers. And he's also a heel. And if you want a heel as your top tier champion, which clearly they do, and you want Darby Allin to have someone to chase, I would absolutely put the title on MJF at Double or Nothing. That's in May. That's 4 months. Okay? In 4 or 5 months, put the title on MJF. And then you can rematch it, at All In Texas or, All Out, whatever you want to do. But I would put the title back on MJF, but I would definitely get it off of Jon Moxley